Hi everyone, we're going to get started in just a second. Thanks so much for your patience. Oh, what is that? I bet our video just downloaded that we were waiting on. Sorry about that, everybody. Spoiler alert. Figure out how to get it started. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. We were waiting on this video to download, and it just decided to go ahead and start all on its own. So we'll go ahead and switch over for us. Thank you so much, everybody, for your patience. Okay, while we're getting set up, I'm going to go ahead and do our introductions. Good morning if you're in Chicago. I know we have some folks joining where it is not morning anymore, but good morning and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, The Power of Play, Theraplay's Approach to Intervention. Quick plug, if you are a tweeter, please join us at HMPRG or hashtag ILACES, that's hashtag Illinois ACES, and let us know what you think and any questions or responses you have. My name is Madison Hammett, and I am a policy analyst with the Illinois ACES Response Collaborative here at Health and Medicine, and we are so excited to have Andrea Bushala of the Theraplay Institute join us today. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, just a little bit about Health and Medicine. We, as our name suggests, are a policy and research group working to promote social justice and challenge inequities in health and healthcare. We are an independent policy center here in Chicago that conducts research, education, and collaborates with other groups to advocate policies and impact health systems to improve health status of all people. This webinar is presented by the Illinois ACES Response Collaborative. Health and Medicine is the lead convener of the collaborative, and we're a multidisciplinary group that utilizes the science of ACEs and childhood trauma in an effort to create critical transformation to policy and practice aligned with current research. The collaborative is a backbone organization, so what we do is we mobilize, we convene, and we advocate to create systems-level change. You can visit our website for more information, and that includes policy briefs, an environmental scan of trauma-informed programming, and other webinars that we've held in the past. And also sign up for our newsletter, hopefully. We will be sending out a link to that in our follow-up email. And we just want to thank some of our funders who have supported this webinar series, and that includes the Illinois Children's Healthcare Foundation, the Otho S.A. Sprague Memorial Institute, the Intelligent Community Initiative, the Prince Charitable Trust, and the Albert Pig Jr. Fund. We will have time for questions at the end, hopefully, so please feel free to type in any that you have in that chat box that you see on the side throughout the webinar. And then after the webinar, you're going to receive an email with the following, a short evaluation survey. And we would love to know, we have so many new people joining us, so we would love to know why you're joining us. What was it about Theraplay that you wanted to know more about? So please fill out that survey for us. You'll also find out more ways to participate in the collaborative, and you'll get links to our website, policy briefs, and other materials. And then you'll also receive a recording to this webinar, and the webinar will be hosted on our website as well. So now I am going to introduce our speaker, and I am just so excited to introduce Andrea Bushala. Andrea is a licensed clinical social worker, a registered play therapist, and a certified Theraplay practitioner. And she is also a trainer and supervisor for the program. She has an undergraduate degree in psychology from Miami University with an emphasis on child development. And she obtained her master's in social work degree from Loyola University with a dual specialization in school social work and children and families. Andrea previously worked at a community mental health clinic focused on treating children and young adults experiencing anxiety and depression. And additionally, she has experience in the public school system, providing individual and group therapy for children ages 4 to 6. In her clinical work, Andrea uses a strengths-based perspective, incorporating learning from trauma-focused psychotherapy, brain development, and attachment theory. Andrea is currently completing a 2-year postgraduate fellowship in infant partner mental health, and we are so excited that she has come and is going to share Theraplay's methods with us. So Andrea, I am going to pass over the screen to you and let you take it away. So change.
Great, thanks, Madison. We at the Institute are also very honored to be collaborating with you for today's presentation. We're excited to share with you how to use play, and specifically Theraplay, to help counter the effects of trauma in children and their families. We have 3 objectives for the hour that we'll be spending together today. First, there'll be a brief review of the impact of trauma on children. I know that many of you are well versed in trauma, so we won't spend much time here, but it's important that we understand how trauma affects children's views of themselves and the world around them in order to deliver the most effective treatment. Secondly, we would like to help you understand how play therapy is used to counter the effects of negative experiences and ensuing mental health challenges for children. And lastly, we'd like to give a brief introduction to Theraplay, which is an intervention that was developed over 50 years ago to be used in groups, families, and with individuals to address mental health challenges. Theraplay is used around the world with over 14,000 practitioners trained to date. It's an evidence-based intervention, and it's simple to use, but incredibly powerful in its effect. So we'll start with what is child trauma. Dr. Maureen Wong, a dean of social work at USC, has made it her life's work to understand the effects of trauma on children, and she defines childhood trauma this way. Child traumatic stress refers to the physical and emotional responses of a child to events that threaten the life or physical integrity of the child or of someone critically important to the child, such as a parent or a sibling. Traumatic events overwhelm a child's capacity to cope and elicit feelings of terror, powerlessness, and out-of-control physiological arousal. When the child is exposed to experiences that overwhelm them, their response is typically behavioral, instantaneous, and powerful. Children simply do not have the wealth of experiences or the access to resources to work through a trauma alone. For these reasons, there is a much higher cost for exposure to a child's developing brain than to the adult brain. So how is trauma experienced differently for a child than an adult? Let's take a look at the developmental perspective on trauma. A child's ability to adapt, use internal coping resources, and deploy defense mechanisms in the face of trauma are determined by 3 factors. First, we need to understand where their brain development is. Younger brains are in the process of forming based on experiences, and all new experiences, both positive and negative, are taken in and coded in a way that creates the lens that the child will experience future events through. Additionally, many young children have not yet developed self-regulation, a skill that is developed only through repeated experiences of co-regulation with a caregiver. So they are not able to return to a calm state without an adult. And depending on the child's developmental age, the child may have limited cognitive functioning and limited verbal communication skills, both of which would result in a very primitive response to the stress of trauma. Attachment relationships are critically important for the young child. Caregivers are the most powerful buffer in regards to a child weathering traumatic experiences. An attuned and responsive caregiver, along with strong social supports, are the single greatest predictor of a child not only withstanding traumatic effects, but also growing emotionally through them. And this leads us to the third important factor, which is resiliency. Resiliency is a powerful factor in a child's response to trauma. A child's temperament, which is a characteristic thought to be present at birth, their overall health, and a close relationship to caregivers are all predictors of how a developing child will respond to and recover from trauma. No 2 children experience a traumatic event in the same way, not even identical twins. We're going to show you a short video here that will hopefully illustrate the effects of trauma. Trauma shapes how we see the world and provides a narrative about what we expect. It informs the stories that we tell ourselves about whether the world is safe and if people are basically good, or whether the world is full of hidden dangers and people are out to get us. It can affect every part of a child's life. It affects learning and cognition by reducing executive functioning access as the brainstem takes over more often for the cognitive part of the brain. It heightens vigilance, resulting in a child with an inaccurate perception of danger and a rapid response to perceived threats, and it increases reliance on behaviors that the child sees as self-protective, such as aggression or withdrawal. So we've created this short video to show you how a typically developing child might experience a short walk through nature versus how a child with developmental trauma might perceive that same experience. Hold on just a sec while we cue up the video. You know what, Madison, I don't see our ability to get back to my screen. Is it uploaded on your end?
I do have it uploaded, so I'll go ahead and change over to myself, and we will do that on my screen. And this. Oh.
Yep, that's it. But you need sound.
Yep, here we go.
Keep going. So you can see how different that same event feels when experienced through the trauma lens. The brain of a child who's experienced trauma works hard to keep itself aware of any impending threat. So why do kids stay in their lower brain after experiencing trauma? That's how their brain develops in an effort to keep them safe. Remember, it's our brain's job to keep us alive. The brainstem screens sensory inputs, and trauma wires brains to constantly be on the lookout for signs of danger. Many of you are probably familiar with Dr. Bruce Perry's neurosequential model of brain development, which nicely illustrates how the brain develops and is organized from the bottom up. The functions that our brain controls start with our basic body functions low in the brainstem and move up to the highest functions in the cortex. All 4 areas of the brain work in concert with connections from bottom to top and top to bottom. Children who have suffered from early childhood trauma are likely compromised in the lower regions of the brain, and these events are stored experientially and implicitly. Until we pay attention to these lower areas and work to bring about healing and new organization, we will struggle with the futility of trying to talk our kids into better behavior, and we will struggle with developing healthy relationships. Talking rarely works, but thankfully giving children different and positive experiences does. Struggling kids are often victims of childhood trauma. They have a weak foundation when it comes to brain organization, and until steps are taken to improve lower brain function, the ability to learn will not improve. Lower areas are improved by good diet, regular exercise, good sleep habits, many positive relational interactions, and a steady dosing of patterned, repetitive, rhythmic movements that serve to bring calm and order to a clattering brain. Once the brainstem is calm, we can start to look at interventions that address the needs of the midbrain, the region of the brain that seeks out social relationships and connections to others. A lot has been written about childhood trauma, parenting children with trauma, and trauma-sensitive schools, with SAMHSA reporting that more than 60% of children aged 17 and younger having been exposed to crime, violence, and abuse directly or indirectly. We know that no single person, family, agency, or institution can combat the effects of trauma on its own. Thanks to organizations like Illinois ACEs, we now understand the important work we all need to do together. We must move forward with the big picture in mind. We need trauma-sensitive communities. Trauma-sensitive organizations are those that recognize behaviors as a developmental response to a child's experiences. It's not a representation of willful, purposeful misbehavior on the part of the child. Children do the best they can when they can. Their behavior is a direct communication of how they are feeling. It is up to the adults around them to help manage their emotions as they grow and develop. So let's move on to the how to help part of the presentation now. Those that work with children, have had children, or remember being children, understand that play is crucial to healthy development. Although it varies by culture, play is evident across the globe. It is through play that children learn to engage and interact with the world around them and connect with others. Gary Landreth, the father of play therapy, sums it up when he says play is a child's language. Play expands self-expression, self-knowledge, self-actualization, and self-efficacy. Play relieves feelings of stress and boredom, connects us to people in a positive way, stimulates creative thinking and exploration, regulates our emotions, and boosts our ego. But play also has a biological imperative. According to Sandra Walker-Russ, author of over 80 research articles and books on children and play, she states that play allows us to practice skills and roles needed for survival. Learning and development are best fostered through play. So why use play as a therapeutic intervention? Because we need to speak to children in a language they understand. Eliana Gill, founder of the Gill Institute and former president of the Association for Play Therapy, explains play therapy this way. Therapists strategically utilize play therapy to help children express what is troubling them when they do not have the verbal language to express their thoughts and feelings. Children, especially young children, children with developmental delays, and most importantly, children who have experienced trauma, do not have the language skills or access to the more cognitive part of their brain when processing their more painful experiences. Play allows them to use a more natural form of communication. Clark Moustakis, who talks about the curative powers of play and relationships in his research, states the positive relationships that develop between therapist and child during play therapy sessions can provide a corrective emotional experience necessary for healing. For children who are harmed inside of a primary relationship, the most effective treatment supports a safe relationship that challenges the child's beliefs that other people are unsafe and cannot be trusted. Without this relational aspect and sense of connection, there is little hope for true healing. Through play therapy, children learn to communicate, express feelings, modify behavior, develop problem-solving skills, learn ways of relating to others. Play provides a safe psychological distance from their problems and allows expression of thought and feelings appropriate to their development. Often the parents or caretakers are directly involved in the treatment by modifying how they interact with the child. Family members typically play an important role in a child's healing. Our goal through interactive attuned play is that we can strengthen the wiring in children's brains that support the feelings of being safe and in joyful connection with others, and weaken the wiring that creates the sense of isolation and fear that results from trauma. Additionally, the shared joy of interaction or interactive play creates a strong emotional bond and programs the brain to be fully social. Play episodes provide opportunities for affective synchrony and for co-regulation that enhances the development of brain synapses. We also need to remember that learning to play, which is where we are teaching those social skills and supporting social engagement, may be new learning for children who live in high-stress families. Social play is the most direct route to supporting children who experience toxic stress. It is literally changing their brain architecture. The best way to understand Theraplay's unique way of being with children is to see it in action. The next two clips will give you a little taste of the activities we use to build connection between children and adults. Later in the presentation, you'll be seeing more activities that you can try. This video is with Phyllis Booth, the founder of Theraplay, and a non-clinical child doing cotton ball blow and newspaper punch. So Madison, you have those clips, right?
Yes, I do. So I will pull that first one up for us.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll get the sound going for us as well. Start from the beginning for everybody. There.
Yeah, there's still no sound.
Okay. Oh. Andrea, it looks like on this end that the video didn't come with sound. Is there a way that we can describe it for folks?
Sure. So in this case, we have a little boy, and Phyllis, who's in the pink jacket, is telling him, she's asking him if he's strong and wants to check his muscles out, and has him on the count of 3 punch through the newspaper. You can see he gets kind of a shy, prideful expression on his face. She doubles it up, and Phyllis asks the mom, did you know your boy was so strong? And the mom looks at him and smiles and says, no, I didn't. And Phyllis says, I don't know, do you think you can do through 4? And he looks at her and goes, yeah, let's try 4 pieces of paper. So that's where that ends up. And then you can go to the next video, which shows another activity.
Okay.
In this activity, they're putting a little bit of lotion on his nose and sticking a cotton ball to it. And then Phyllis is asking the mom to see if she can use a really big breath and blow it off his nose, which she's trying to do there, and it works. The mom delights in the activity, and you can see the little boy thinks it's kind of funny that she blew this cotton ball off his nose. And then the mom goes, Phyllis goes and does the same, placing the cotton ball on the mom's nose, and has the little boy blow it off. So you can see there's a lot of playfulness, a lot of delighting in what the child can do, and a lot of connection between the parent and the child. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that the other videos have sound. All right. So we're going to switch back to me controlling, and we're going to talk about what Theraplay is. Theraplay is a proactive, intensive, relational-focused, and guided interaction. It's focused on the parent becoming more available, responsive, and attuned to the child's needs. It's modeled on the natural patterns of healthy interaction between parents and child, much like the behavior that you see with parents and their young children. It encourages caregivers to actively learn new ways of interacting with their child with direct support as they practice new skills. It provides respectful, emotionally attuned, and physically playful interactions. We're trying to build moments of authentic connection and attunement, and it's based on the principles of attachment theory, brain research, and the importance of play. So let's spend a few minutes talking about how we view attachment. Simply put, it's a deep and enduring emotional bond that connects one person to another. Attachment behavior with adults towards children includes responding sensitively and appropriately to the child's needs. Attachment theory is one of the most long-standing and most researched theories of child development. It's important in all aspects of a child's later development. It teaches children that their needs will be met and that they are loved. It frees a child to explore, play, and learn, and it's the basis for future relationships. If attachment is disrupted, a child may experience a variety of challenges across their lifespan. So as the adult working with families, you have an important role of being an attachment figure for both the adult and the child you're working with. It is important that you provide a safe and secure environment, that you're playful when interacting with children. This treatment is appropriate only for children that are not actively experiencing trauma. Until basic safety can be ensured, play therapy is not an appropriate modality. You'll address the child in the least threatening manner, keeping in mind the importance of all nonverbal cues that the child's interpreting. You need to be sure to get down on their level, keep your voice calm, keep your emotions in check, even if they become dysregulated. And you need to keep your expectations of the child's behavior appropriate to their developmental level, not their chronological age, which in many cases can be years apart. Excuse me. So how does Theraplay help traumatized children? It focuses on building the attachment relationship. If you think about trauma as an overwhelming event that leaves the child feeling alone, then you understand that the path to healing is to create experiences that feel predictable and familiar with adults who represent safety. Traumatic experiences can disrupt the attachment relationship. A secure attachment helps children deal with those negative experiences. Theraplay helps the child feel safe and calm. It's up to the adult to create the activities and the rhythm of play that calms their stress response system and leads them out of brainstem responses. Theraplay helps the child learn to relax and to have fun. Where can Theraplay be used? Anywhere adults and children interact. Children need to be able to function in home, school, and community settings, and we need to help them be able to be successful in those settings. So before we show you some activities, we're going to begin by showing you how we dimensionalize experiences that we think all children need. Each of these bubbles highlights a dimension and the components and characteristics of the dimensions and what they provide. In the upper left-hand corner is engagement. The goal of engagement is to connect the child so that they feel seen, felt, and heard. With engagement, the adult is using their social engagement system to draw the child into the relationship and create a sense of felt safety. Your social engagement system includes things like your eye gaze, vocal prosody, and body posture. As young children get most of their communication from nonverbal cues, it's important that everything about the adult communicate that we are safe, welcoming, and focused on the child in an intense and personal way. When a child feels seen and understood, they can be in the moment with another. The next dimension is structure. The goal of structure is to organize a child's world so that it feels safe and predictable. With structure, the adult creates environmental regulation through organization, setting clear boundaries, and predictability of actions and behaviors. When children know what to expect from those around them, their brainstem can relax and they are able to be fully engaged. The next dimension is nurture. The goal of nurture is to make the child feel physically and emotionally cared for. Through nurture, the adult sets up several gentle, caring, and soothing activities to meet a child's younger needs. This communicates that the child is worth caring for and helps to calm the stress response system and downregulate the child. When a child is nurtured, he sees himself as worthy. The final dimension is challenge. The goal of challenge is to make sure that the child has opportunity to succeed in order to build a sense of competence and confidence. With challenge, it's the role of the adult to encourage the child to take moderate and appropriate risks with the adult's support. In the beginning, we choose activities that support working together as a team or with the parent and child working together, not against each other. When a child is appropriately challenged, his sense of self-efficacy thrives. Theraplay is represented by the large circle in the middle, which focuses on the use of play in each dimension. For most families, there will be some activities from each dimension. For children who have been traumatized, structure, or creating that felt sense of safety, along with nurture, the sense that adults can take care of you, would probably be the focus. And now for the fun part. Let's show you some simple games that can help you connect with the children in your care. So Madison, you've got the videos. Oh, are we due? Okay. Children in your care. So Madison, you've got the videos. Oh, are we due? Okay. The first games that you'll see today support structure. Again, the goal here is to create predictability and organization. The video that you're going to see is Theraplay therapist and trainer Marla Winstead working with non-clinical children of varying ages. Because these are not actual clinical clients, there is not a parent present in session. With typical Theraplay, a parent would be present with the child and the therapist would be guiding the parent and child in the games together. Let's take a look at Peanut Butter and Jelly and Stack of Hands.
And you say jelly the same way. Peanut butter. Jelly. Peanut butter. Sweet like jelly. Peanut butter. Jelly. That was a tough one. Peanut butter. Jelly. Peanut butter. Jelly. Peanut butter. Jelly. Peanut butter. Jelly. Peanut butter! Peanut jelly butter! It's really hard. You know what? I'm going to say peanut butter and you say peanut butter too. Peanut butter! Peanut butter! Peanut butter! Peanut butter! Peanut butter! Peanut butter! Now let's try jelly. 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 And you? And me? And you? And we're gonna build a tall tower. Where's Goten? Where is he? I can't. Oh, there you are. There you are. We are building such a tall tower. Okay, I think it's time to come back down. Down, and now you, and me, and you. Where's Goten? There you are. Your turn, my turn. Your turn, my turn. Your turn. It's like a pattern. It is like a pattern. We are bubbles.
Hopefully you noticed the very predictable and organized nature of the activities. It was clear what was expected of the child, and he knew what to expect from Marlo in each game. In the hand stack, you see the rhythmic, repetitive, and relational aspect of hand-over-hand touching that helps organize the child's brain, and his peeking eyes and smiling face clearly communicate that he feels safe with her. For engagement, the goal is to draw the child in and make them feel seen, felt, and heard. Let's take a look at Bubble Pop and a hand tapping game.
And you say jelly the same way. Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
And you say jelly the same way. Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Jelly.
Peanut butter.
Sweet like jelly.
Peanut.
Just give us a moment. We're gonna queue up the video. It should take about 1 minute, and then we're just gonna run it all the way through the last 3 activities, and our presentation will be done.
Butter.
Jelly. That was a tough one. Peanut butter. Jelly. Peanut butter. Jelly.
Peanut butter.
Jelly.
Peanut butter.
Jelly.
Peanut butter.
Peanut jelly butter.
It's really hard. You know what? I'm going to say peanut butter and you say peanut butter too. Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Now let's try jelly. Jelly.
Jelly.
Jelly.
Jelly.
Jelly.
Jelly.
Jelly.
And you? And me? And you? And we're gonna build a tall tower. Where's Goten? Where is he? I can't. Oh, there you are. There you are. We are building such a tall tower. Okay, I think it's time to come back down. Down, and now you, and me, and you. Where's Goten? There you are. Your turn, my turn. Your turn, my turn. Your turn. It's like a pattern. It is like a pattern. We are
Bubbles.
Cubing.
Cubing.
So now you have 2 really good examples of how to play the hand stack game. What I'm going to do now, since we can't seem to cut the video by dimension, is I'll just go ahead and run through the next 3 dimensions. You'll see a couple of games for engagement, nurture, and challenge just all run through. And then I'll stop it and we can open the floor up for questions about what the video is. So I'm just going to run it straight through.
Very cool beans.
I don't like playing with bubbles, but I just do it when in the summer.
In the
Just
summer?
for fun, just for fun.
For fun. Okay, so usually you don't play with bubbles, but maybe today just for fun?
Mm.
Okay, let's see if you can pop them really fast. I gotta glow faster for you.
You are one fabulous bubble popper. I can barely keep up with you because you are so good at popping bubbles. Oh my goodness, that was some serious bubble popping. Let's see if I can blow a really big one this time, and if you can pop it with your... Okay, I'm gonna do my best to blow you a big one. Make sure it gets off my wand before you pop it, okay? Oh, it popped, but you got 3 other ones, didn't you? All right, here, I'm gonna give it another try, George. Let me see if I can get you a really big one. Did that feel funny on your elbow?
Yeah.
Let's trade and do your knee.
Oh,
Okay? Very cool beans. Now, is it hard to stand on that pillow, or are you... I don't want you to fall over, so you can touch the wall. That would be fine. I just want to make sure to get this bubble in the right place.
Oh.
Here it comes. Here it comes. Oh, what good waiting. You got it with your knee. Okay, this
I
time,
could have done it.
you could have done it with that knee. This time, George, you are going to pop it with your...
Ow. Well, that could be in the head too.
That could, yeah, it'll be hard to do exactly your ear, so you give it a
Tell me
try.
if it exactly hits.
Okay. Oh, you did a jump move, and it did exactly hit your ear because you did a jump move. Now, do you have bubbles on your ear? Okay, all right. Last one. George, what would you like to pop this bubble with?
Feet.
Feet? Okay.
Oh, dang.
Nice move. Go ahead, I'll move back. Whoa, that was really, really high. My knees right there. Okay, and I'm gonna do something with my hands and you copy me. Wow, you are an excellent copier, George. We are going to make a very special print of your hand. So I'm going to put some lotion, just like this. And then we're going to take your hand and put it right down on here. Oh, wow. Look at that hand. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the middle, and lift it up. Wow! Look at that goten hand. We're gonna do one more thing to that goten hand. Here it is. One more thing. We're going to put some powder on here like this. Ooh, we can't see your hand yet. Move it around. Look at your hand. That's pretty cool, isn't it? You know what? That's really special right there. See that line? Just like on your hand. It has a line. I'm going to use this cotton ball with a little bit of powder. And I'm going to take a look at your arms and see if there are any special spots or any places that might have little hurts, and just put a little bit of cotton or a little bit of powder right on there. So, let's see. Here are some special spots.
Oh yeah.
There's one. Here's one. And then I'm going to rub them in like that. Does that feel all right to you?
Oh yeah, I like powder. Feels soft.
Good.
So does cotton.
And so does cotton.
Yeah.
Oh, your elbow. Looks like you had a hurt, but it's getting better now.
Well, I think that was a long time ago, but this was a way long time ago.
Oh, I'm going to get over there and look at that too.
Don't you remember it? Tell you about it?
Well, let me finish taking a look at this arm, and then I'll get over there, and I'll see if I remember that one. You have some scrapes right here, and I think you've been coloring today. See that? A little bit of blue.
I think it was yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
You have 4 spots right down your arm, just like that. Let's check out this arm. There, it looks like that's a bruise right here. I gotta rub that in. And now, see your elbow. Oh, yeah. This one is old. And this one, but this one's not.
This one was from today.
Yeah, that one's newer. But this one is old. Yeah, that's been there for a while. You have to be really gentle not to hurt these.
Yeah.
It's important to note that while the adult introduces each of these games, it's essential that they be attuned to any sign that the child is uncomfortable. This is even more important for a child with a trauma history because they've been left alone with very big and uncomfortable feelings in the past. The key to having a good interaction with the child is being flexible to their needs in the moment and attuning to all of their cues, both verbal and nonverbal, as they arise. We hope that you've enjoyed this very brief introduction to Theraplay. We're now going to open up the session to questions from the audience.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Andrea. That was so great, and I loved seeing all of the videos that we had. Thank you for sending those along. We've got a couple of questions, and folks, if you do have questions, please type them in on the little question box on the side of your screen in the control panel. I'm going to open it up with our first question. Have you found that Theraplay could also be an effective modality for adults, couples, or older children? Or is this something that you've only done with young children?
Actually, Theraplay has been done all the way through to the end of life care in nursing homes. So it's been done with every age group. And again, I would just remind you that what you're looking to meet the needs, you're looking to meet the much younger social emotional needs of the person that you're working with. So for children, you know, who miss those experiences, same as teenagers or adults, their body and mind desire to interact with another adult in that very kind of caring, attuned way. So yes, it can be used with every age group.
Great, thank you. And building a little bit on that, how does this compare with other forms of therapy like parent-child interaction therapy?
Yeah, I think parent-child interaction therapy is a little bit more behaviorist than we are, a little bit more scripted. I'm not trained in that. I'm slightly familiar, but this is on the spectrum of very directed to non-directive work, whereas probably as far as you can go in terms of directive therapy, and that we go in with very much an idea of what we want to accomplish with the child. Also, parent-child interaction therapy is very verbal, and we tend to be very nonverbal and experiential. So it addresses issues in different parts of the developing brain.
Thank you. We have a couple of folks who have asked, is this only for children and adults, like children and their parents, or are these practices used also in child-to-child interaction, say between siblings or classmates?
You know what? That's a great question. Group Theraplay is another way that we use Theraplay, and it is used in summer camps, churches and temples and schools, and that it's still very adult-directed, but it is encouraging the growth of peer relationships and the healing of, a sense of a powerful community as opposed to just an adult and child interaction.
And then we have a question here that asks, can you comment on the study's effectiveness in communities of color or impoverished communities? Do you use different methods for different communities?
Well, I can't cite research off the top of my head, but I will say that people do come to the Institute from all over the world and are trained and bring this modality back to wherever they're from. We have people who come and train who don't have any supplies, even like a cotton ball or a feather, but have told us that they've gone home and been able to do this practice, outside using leaves and weeds and adapting it to their participants. So it's more a way of being than it is kind of a use of activities and supplies, right? And while I think the definition of attachment might be a little more focused, the research focused more on middle-class white people. Certainly the people who come and train, come from all over the world. Oh, okay, sorry. I had a little help from the peanut gallery to remind me that the SAMHSA studies, and you can see our research online, are all with at-risk populations. So there is diversity there. Our research is not limited to kind of the Anglo population.
Great, thank you. We have a question here. What would be a cautionary or warning sign of when to stop or modify these activities to be aware of when you're engaged with young children? So when do we know that these might be harmful?
So it really, when you're doing this work, you have to be incredibly present and in the moment and reading all of the child's nonverbal cues. So this is a modality that takes right brain communication from the child and adult and processes right brain to right brain. So you're looking for things like them pulling back, averting their gaze, being overly compliant, and you're making adjustments moment to moment. And certainly for children who have had trauma, for example, if they've been exposed to really harmful touch, they might not be comfortable with touch. The goal is to not remove touch from what your goals would be, but to provide it in a very measured way and a very intentional and thoughtful way, pulling back as needed so that you can build the child's tolerance for what is good and healthy touch over the course of the whole treatment. So you're just relying a lot on your clinical judgment and your ability to kind of read the room when you're in the room with the child.
Great, thank you. We have a couple of questions about working with parents who might have specific mental illness or trauma themselves. So I'm going to combine a couple of those and just ask, what are some methods, or what does Theraplay do when it's not only the child who has undergone a trauma, but also their caretaker, and the caretaker might need some care as well? How do you modify the program to address that?
Okay, so without actually knowing the specifics, I'm just going to speak in generalities. What I find when I have both a traumatized parent and child is that they're both behaving out of their brainstem, And so when I'm in session, I'm going to treat them both as if they're kind of the identified client and deliver that kind of structure, sense of stability, sense of being caretaken to both of them at the same time until I can kind of get them out of that brainstem response. And then I can help support the parent in retaking over more of that parental role. But I would just approach it as if, you know, I had two children in the room.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a couple of questions about using these techniques with kids with specific disorders, but I'm going to kind of generalize them because they're all sort of related to one of our questions, which is there's a lot of physical contact in these clips that are shown. And so what are some methods that you might use with kids who are really resistant to this, either because of their own trauma or because of another, you know, condition they might have, or like autism, or just not wanting to be touched even. So how do you modify activities around that, around what we would call a resistant patient?
Right. So of course we want the child to feel safe, so we're not going to be intrusive in our touch in any way, and hopefully we would have been able to see some of their limitations either through the intake or you know, observation. And we would start by really limiting touch, but you can still be very connected to a child through just the proximity of your body and your eye gaze, and let them know that you are kind of, you know, holding them in the environment without literally holding them.
Thank you. And then we have a couple more questions rolling in, but I'm gonna wrap up with this last one. Can you speak to the evaluations that you have done on Theraplay? What are some of the outcomes you've observed, both in the short term and long term?
Oh, some of the things that we've seen, you mean over the course of treatment?
Yes.
Okay. So what we're looking for is for the adult to be more comfortable in leading and directing the interactions, and the child feeling comfortable and following, not because they want to be compliant, but because it feels good and safe to be in a social relationship with an older, stronger, wiser person, that they allow for the adult to nurture, and that the adult can read the child and understand what kind of nurture is appropriate, and that the adult present activities and challenges that are appropriate for the child, so they're not kind of treating a child in a babyish way or kind of overshooting what they expect and leaving a child you know, feeling like they can't succeed in any single activity. So you know, you can measure any or all of those over the course of your work. We usually have, you know, kind of specific, we try to quantify what we're looking for over the goal of our treatment plan. And treatment is fairly short term. It's typically somewhere between 24 and 26 weeks. So, you know, you can see measurable outcomes, many parents say, within a month or two of treatment.
Wow, thank you so much. Folks, I know we have a couple of questions still rolling in, but we are going to have to end here. Andrea, thank you so much for this great presentation. I was unfamiliar with play therapy, so I'm so glad that we could get you here. And I know you have a little plug that you would like to close with. So
I would just like to say that the slide that is in front of you right now shows you our website. Please feel free to log on to that or follow us on Facebook. If you're a parent, you can use code ACES10 for 10% off our Parenting the Theraplay Way book. Or if you are a therapist, you can use code ACES100 for $100 off any level 1 training, which is a lot of the stuff that we reviewed today, and now that's valid through July 31st. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to contact us at info@theraplay.org, and we can respond to your questions directly. Thanks very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you. And folks, you'll be receiving, like I said at the beginning of our webinar, a follow-up email with a recording of this and also a survey. So please take a look at that. It will be in your inbox in a couple of days and also posted to our website. So again, thank you so much, Andrea, and thank you so much to everyone for joining us. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.